What's happening, financial coaches? It's Pete here. I want to ask a specific question or answer a specific question about business insurance. This comes up all the time. I have gotten it a number of times, both in the comments as well as sent directly to me, as well as in conversations with financial coaches. And the question invariably comes up is, should I have some sort of business insurance for myself? And the answer is, it depends. So let me give you kind of the extreme examples here. If you are staying clearly within the bounds of financial coaching. And I think a lot of people don't really understand what that means. But if you are truly only coaching, I don't think you need insurance. Now, I might sound like a hypocrite on that because I generally have more insurance than I've ever needed. And in fact, I've never really had major insurance claims. My wife hit a deer with her car once. That was interesting and required some decent repairs. Glad I had an auto insurance on that. But generally, you get insurance hoping that you will never need it. And so I am one of those kind of risk adverse people that tends to have as much insurance as I think I need. All right. So anyway, so I have had business insurance, liability insurance, umbrella insurance, E&O insurance, all of those things. Okay. My point here is that on financial coaching, like life coaching or basketball coaching or whatever it might be, if you are staying within the bounds of coaching, i.e., I am not prescribing anything to you. I am not telling you what to do. I'm not even educating you. That's a financial educator, right? I am just kind of helping you walk through your decisioning process, walk through your value system, let you decide what you want to do, help you uncover how you are going to determine the plan, help you decide how you are going to pursue and make achievements and progress toward your goals, right? I am an enabler. I am a catalyst for your thinking. And I am not applying any philosophy, any of my values or wishes onto you, right? That's truly coaching. It's kind of helping you build better habits, helping you figure out what your goals are and how to enable your habits and tendencies to make that happen, okay? So if you were staying within the curbs of financial coaching specifically, then you probably don't need insurance because there's nothing that you did except kind of unleash my own creativity and potential, okay? The reality is most financial coaches drift and bleed outside of financial coaching. It's almost impossible to stay within the confines of financial coaching, literally. The problem is as soon as someone says and gives you a question that you have the answer to and that there is an answer, what did the Dow end at yesterday, right? And you give them that number, a Roth IRA, is that something that exists? Overdraft fees, what does that mean, right? And so anytime you answer those, all of a sudden now you are stepping out of the financial coach role into the financial educator role, right? And now you're providing information that could be right or wrong. Now at this point, you have taken on some liability. It's not necessarily a lot of liability, but at this point, and again, caveat here that don't take legal advice from me. Find a legal expert or consult with an attorney to determine any of these specifically for yourself. But now I'm providing information, and if I say, hey, the maximum contribution limit to a 401k this year for most people is $40,000, and it's really $20,500 or whatever the current threshold is, I've given some wrong information, right? Or if I've said, you don't have to pay short-term capital gains on a stock that you held for a couple days, whatever it might be, right? So now when you play in the financial educator role, there are right and wrong answers. And, to be honest, the answer that you give at some point might be right, and they change a law or rule or whatever, or reinterpret it, and it might be wrong tomorrow. So the financial educator role puts you at some exposure. If you start playing in the financial counselor role, like, hey, this is what you should do. You should give your credit card company a call and ask them to reduce the interest rate. There is usually a pretty standard outcome that comes from that. Either they'll do it or they won't, or maybe they'll give you some options, or maybe they'll give you part of that, or maybe they'll give you some other ideas of like transferring to another one of their credit cards that they offer, or whatever it might be. It's also possible that they might close your credit card. You just might get someone on the other end of the line that's like, I don't like this person. Their supervisor, they're having a bad day, and they close your credit line and require you to pay it all off at that moment. Okay. Highly unlikely, but that might happen. But because you directed them to do that as a financial counselor, like this is what you should do, they could say, hey, this outcome made me worse off. You did me wrong, and how wrong did you do me? And there's some liability there. It's possible. And certainly if you get into the financial advice, like, hey, you want to buy this and blah, 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 blah. and you find out, hey, that the financial advisor didn't disclose that if I set up this account, I can't get my money back out for 7 or 10 years, or if I do, there are penalties, and they didn't tell me that, I had to keep making the payments on, they didn't disclose something, or they didn't disclose what their compensation is, or however many things that could possibly come out of that. That's why financial advisors are heavily insured, because humans make mistakes, and not intentional. There's just so many things. Everyone makes mistakes. So my point here is that you probably don't need insurance. The closer you are staying within the confines of financial coaching only, that discipline, to me, the least exposure you can have, you probably don't need it, because how does someone go about and say, listen, they did me wrong, and say a judge says, how did they do you wrong? Well, I wanted to buy a car, and they helped me do that. Okay, well, did they tell you to buy the car? Did they encourage you to buy the car? No, they just kind of helped me kind of think through how I was going to do it. I had my mindset on it, blah, blah. A catalyst, right? We are an enabler for them, but it's not necessarily encouraging them to do anything. Again, as soon as you start drifting out, I think that exposure continues to be wide. Doesn't mean you have zero exposure as a financial coach, but as a financial coach, we're not really telling them what to do. We're not giving them ideas. We're not playing the educator. As soon as you start bringing into any of these other pieces, or more of these pieces, or you're playing squarely in the counselor role, you're playing squarely in the advisor role, and if you're playing in the advisor role, you're going to need your licenses, but if the more you move into these other roles, the other offerings on the financial spectrum, the greater that exposure becomes, in my opinion. So, do you need insurance? No, but if you can see yourself already playing in the space of the counselor, which a lot of people do, then maybe you do. All right. So that's kind of my long way of saying you might, but that's hopefully helpful criteria when you think, should I get it? Or am I kind of playing in the space that I'm advertising only? All right. Hopefully that helps. I'll see you later.